es lo que hacemos, no lo que tenemos.
He was a very smart person who was observing trends around the world, where people were having conversations about other territories around the world. What does Asia look like 100 years from now? What does the US look like 100 years from now? And then he was like, how come we're not really talking about what Africa looks like 100 years from now? And then Black Panther comes out and it blows everybody's minds. It makes a whole lot of money. People are very excited about it. But it was an African American take on the future. And so we were like, hey, what about an African person's take on the future? How about an animation person's take on the future? So we put a call out, we did a bit of research, and we're like, who are the really cool storytellers that are just playing in this space? So from concept artists and art directors to musicians to writers to people that were directing in live action. And we found 73 people, and we put a brief together and we said, hey, pitch a story that answers 3 questions. Your version of the future is optimistic and is science fiction. So they pitched these stories, and then over a development period, I think it was about a year, we ended up with 10 really strong, really diverse stories. And now we have 6 African countries represented in the 10 films, and we have 14 directors that worked on these 10 films. So that is the origin story of Kizazi Moto.
Yes, I think it's important that any major machine who is holding a certain level of influence, capacity, power, skill, knowledge should be engaging and investing and connecting with other places where that might not be the case. So yes, Africa, yes, South America, yes, Asia, yes, wherever it needs to happen. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be anybody specific for me. I think it's any machine that's operating in a certain way should take on that kind of responsibility. And even just from a creative aspect, I think it's something we're called to as creatives that we should hold.
Can I say as to add to this, you know, the fact that I think we're 1.8 billion people on the continent at this point, and a lot of our countries are moving into middle income economies. So you're really looking at a market that is growing, and the potential, if you're planting seeds now, to be reaping a lot in the next, you know, couple of decades is immense, and it's a potential for growth that does not exist on other continents because we are such a young continent. So people moving into African spaces, I think if you're not considering doing it, you're going to be at a loss in any case. But we're going to be here and we're going to be having a good time.
I agree. I mean, it's changing the perspective. We're grateful to Disney for giving us this platform, but we've got the gold, you know? So we've got to look at it like Disney's also benefiting because they're getting something that the world wants, and I think it's a symbiotic relationship in many ways.
I also just want to add to this. I think it's for future filmmakers and even us here, it's also important not to rely on Disney to tell stories, right? So it's like, have the freedom. I think the reason all of us are here is we were doing it in our own ways and whatever resources we had. So stories must be told all the time with whatever you have in your hand. Tell the story, tell the story, tell the story. And I think then you become visible to bigger partners if that's the path you want to take in terms of commercial filmmaking. But stories inform often how the world sees a society. So it's important to just continue doing it and not waiting for like a big studio to fund it.
I definitely feel that there's a lot of there are a lot of experimentation that you can do within a short film space. That is, you know, like a bigger risk when you go into feature length films. And it gives you like a freedom to play in a very different way with your animation, with your treatment, with your character design, with your environments, even the way that you use your budget because it's a shorter piece. It just allows much more play. I think the short film world, there's also a different visual language that people are used to, and they're used to people daring, breaking boundaries and within the animation space, within live action space. So I think us working within this short film frame is like really an exceptional area for us as upcoming directors to get to explore.
For myself, I came from a writing background, so this was an opportunity for me to step into directing. And before this project, there was nothing that had kind of called me towards that kind of space as much as I wanted to. And the frameworks of what Disney and Triggerfish were pitching was really fantastic. I also thought it was an opportunity to engage in a room, in a space that I would be in and could get there, but it was in front of my face. And I was like, I loved working with Triggerfish, worked with them before, worked with Disney as well. It was great to work with them again from a different position, and also understanding how animation works and the process in itself from a different position than the one I was in as a writer. And outside of that, just, I mean, who's saying no when someone says, come, give us a story, we'll make it, and we'll help you make it? I'm not saying no. So that's basically why I jumped in.
For me, it was the people. So I met Anthony, who's one of the other executive producers, and his passion for the continent. And he's done movies, so he's got his own movie. And he was like, I want to build other people. So he's not trying to make his own movie and be the next superstar. He's wanting to support other filmmakers. And so I wanted to be a part of that, because it's like a way to contribute to building an ecosystem where more African filmmakers can make more stuff. And then if you're working with amazing people, it's easy to say yes, because they'll work as hard as you, they share the same passion as you. So yeah, for me it was the people.
Yeah, and I think it's, aside from the fact that it came during COVID, and that was a hard time for some of us out here, it's like, I think a lot of us culturally as Africans, we have a sense of responsibility to portray or do something for our country. I mean, a lot of us, our parents probably fought in colonial, like liberation wars, if I'm being honest, or did something, to contribute to our country as it is. So I think for me, it was like a deep sense of this, I might not be able to go fight in a war, but you know what, I can go and change the perception of my country and honor the hard work that other people have done to allow me to be here.
Yes, African women are the backbone of society. Both. We need each other.
Yes.
What's the face?
Because I was gonna say backbone, front bone, side bone, rib, knee, elbow, knuckles.
With the whole thing.
And then our dear brothers, they come in and they also hold the space with us equally and as powerfully.
Can I say, like, there's I've been finding that in different independent filmmaking spaces, like in Kenya, for example, if you look at the independent filmmaking space, there are a lot of women at the forefront. You have several people working, whether it's in documentary filmmaking, whether it's in live action, fiction. If you look at the people who are playing the most in international film festivals, pitching to different networks, they are going to be women. And for some reason, I think in the commercial space, in terms of advertising, it's very male dominated, but within the independent filmmaking space, it's very women centered. So I think this is like a difference compared with maybe independent filmmaking within European spaces, where the expectation maybe is that men are at the forefront, but a country like Kenya, for example, women are at the forefront of it. So I think this is it's great that this can spread into different parts of our productions, like in animation as well.
Abre los ojos. Es lo que hacemos, no lo que tenemos. ¡Yujú! Vamos.